my name is Courtney James, and I'm here with Gary and Patrick. Gary is the VP of Exploration at 9 Mile Metals, and Patrick is the CEO. And we're going to get a little recap today on how things are going at their project. So it's so nice to have you both here today.
Good to be here.
Seems like forever since
It
our
feels like that. I know. It's so nice to see both of your faces. So I think, following the news that we put out last week, where you guys provided an update on California Lake and the Wedge, I think I just want to start by learning a little bit more about what happens with California Lake and where that ended off.
I think, as everyone knows, the weather played an important role at California Lake, and with the inclement weather, we moved the drill down to the Wedge, and at California Lake, we capped the hole so we can re-enter it at a later date when the weather improves and we can get a crew back in. We're in the process of getting about 3 zones cut and ready for submission for assay. And because that's a very prospective area, not only geology, there are other geophysical targets around there. We're exploring like utilizing borehole EM or other geophysical methods to better define what we've got there and surrounding targets.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, because the hole we didn't get down to target depth, the completion of the hole. It was so hard. There was days where we were burning a drill bit and only going 3 meters. So if you recall, we were talking earlier about the density and hardness of this target, and it obviously was. So we're going to take advantage of that. I think we can get a crew in with snowmobile and a ground loop, and because it is quite deep, the deeper you go, the bigger the loop and the bigger the circumference of the area the borehole analysis will do, it will hit a bigger area, and we'll be able to take advantage of it while we're down there. And it'll, shoot up to 500 meters in all directions, east, west, north, south, below the hole.
Yeah.
So while we can't get access, because the only thing with the snow and the trails and all that, if we didn't get that rig out for Christmas break, it would still be stuck there. We couldn't get to it. The only targets we can access at the moment are targets 1 and 2 at the Wedge. Everything else is off limits. There's only snowmobile trail grooming. We've had to hire a dozer just to clear the last 5 kilometers to get to the Wedge. And that's so it's been a challenge, time consuming, but in hindsight, it was very fortunate to move it before the Christmas break.
Yeah, and these projects are deep within the New Brunswick forest, so you don't have a lot of infrastructure to work with in that regard.
Well, and just to expand on what Patrick was mentioning, not only do we have weather to get to the Wedge, we're down a secondary, let's say, highway, and we're waiting. That needs to be plowed by the Department of Highways of New Brunswick. And that just gets us to where then we have to start plowing the last bit, and we're sort of road sharing with the New Brunswick Snowmobile Association. So there's enough room when everything's clear, you can drive right to the project and right to the drill. But even from town here, that takes an hour if the roads are clear.
And the last thing I'd touch on all the other targets at California 10 in that area and other priority targets we have, everything's frozen now. There is no water. There is no access to water.
And you need water to run a drill program.
Yeah.
And the nice thing at the Wedge is we do have a major river there that is never freezes, so there is access. So again, that's our only, it is a priority target anyway. So we look like geniuses moving it early, but it was a terrific move, or else we'd be down right now till March or April.
And we just have to wait until the weather warms up. So
we're talking significant snowfall, right? And it was prior. The other reason the drilling slowed down at California Lake, that there was ice storms. That was fuel trucks could not get into the rig, so we couldn't continue. If the fuel can't get in, you can't run your rig. So there's all those things, plus the impeding holiday break, and it just made sense to, well, we had to stop it based on time limitations and access.
Yeah, and I'll add that, like last year, we were drilling at 9 Mile Brook, and access to that is fairly flat. Here, once you get out towards the Wedge and California Lake, it's all rolling hills. So that ice and snow causes major problems, not only with the trucks and fuel trucks, is even moving the gear on site with a bulldozer, stuff, equipment is sliding all over.
Yeah, and that's
So,
big equipment, big expensive equipment you don't want sliding around.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So very strategic move to move over to the Wedge. And how is it going focusing on those targets there? Can you expand a little bit on why you picked those targets and what's exciting about them?
Well, we know that the Wedge was, I guess, back in the day was an copper rich mine, with Cominco on that. There are targets at the Wedge that have not been expanded on. There were targets highlighted by Cominco plus geophysics that was processed by EarthEX. And those targets we're hoping will expand the footprint of the old mine.
Yeah. Originally it was, 2.5 million tons, 500,000 tons or say less, but we're going to test this at depth. They didn't have geophysics really back in the day. And we know where the lens is. We're going to test the depth. We're going to test the extension northwest and the extension southeast. So, if we can get more than 5, 6, 7 million tons, it'd be a significant deposit again.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are really wonderful.
It's a very rich, it's a rich mine. You've seen the assays have been press released up to, in the 20% copper and some of them 30-40% lead zinc. It is rich.
Yeah.
And it is broken. We've press released the 2D kind of side image of the lens, and there is a hard break and it does shift. So no one's really tested it deeper. They only went down just over 300 meters. And from what I understand, and we need to confirm this, is they didn't mine the bottom levels. That was found that out. So there's a lot of ore potentially left, but we are more interested in our geophysic footprint, showing it so much bigger.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that was back in the 60s when they were mining it. So technology has advanced drastically.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of targets in the northwest that Cominco identified and had in their drill plan and never ever drilled it. So, I mean, the commodity prices were much cheaper, much lower back then. But besides that, it's part of a whole trend that we've identified with our roadmap. And there's the Wedge, 1 and 2 targets. There's 3 and 4, which is Tribag and West Wedge. We can't even get in there. And it's all part of that trend of a clustering of VMS. And we believe straight north is target 6 that we believe is a source to target 8 that we drilled last year. And we can't even get to that. And there's no water. So it's I guess we should be counting ourselves lucky we can actually do winter drilling right now. Because it's been 3 straight weeks of snowstorms and up to 10 feet of snow. It's been pretty dramatic.
And this is the East Coast too. So the snow and everything is mixed with that humidity, and it just makes for an icy mess.
Yes.
Gary's out there in snowshoes, He is. He's physically snowshoes to get in there. And these guys, the crew had to dig out the rig and all the equipment. That's how buried it was to even move it to the right spot. So
I was going to say it's pretty exhausting. Even with snowshoes on, I was over knee deep in snow.
Wow.
So you're just trudging through trying to go 100 meters to spot a potential caller.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Now add in moving heavy equipment through this. Yeah, it's a challenge going uphill. Yeah.
Well, they have to use the dozer and clear everything before they can even pull the rig into place, right? So
for sure.
It's been quite the exercise for about the last week and a half getting this all done to this point.
Yeah.
And weather is something that you have to know will always impact what you're going to be doing, but you also can't plan on what it's going to happen. So you guys are doing a good job at least maneuvering around it.
Yeah. Do what you can.
And
I
so
mean,
kind
where
of
we
going
are today,
forward, as we move into 2024, will the weather trends impact the targets that you continue to look for or look at? Like
Well,
mode 1 and
you know,
2, and then when
yeah, I mean, here's where it goes going forward, and it correlates with our planning and our targeting is, you know, we'll be drilling this area till about March. And then you'll have the spring thaw, March and April, and it's so you know, hey, there's lots of water because their little creeks are raging white rivers, but it's so sloppy. Remember, this is a container rig and not a track mount rig that can, you know, this needs a dozer, and it, depending on how much of a how mobile this will be, and we may have to stop for a couple weeks in that sloppy season, but it's good because it lets us catch up, just like this last period, and like let the crew catch up on the logging, the cutting, and all that stuff for hole 10, and even on 9 Mile Brook, catching up on that, because we've been so active. We don't have that luxury of always going drill, stop, analyze, do all this stuff. Next drill program, we're doing all of the above concurrently. So I'm sure people want to hear some more updates on everything, and we're catching up. So it's a good time. Winter's usually a time to catch up. So we will get back to those areas as soon, especially hole 10 area, and we'll be able to get into hole 6 on the way up and so on. So, or target 6, I should say, and get moving.
Perfect. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some of the results from that and to hear how things progress with the drill program at the Wedge. So, Gary, thank you for all that you're doing out there. I know it's a
I'm getting
challenge.
slim.
Did you say it's fun?
He's a geologist. They're only happy in the field, right? Don't keep
True.
them in the offices, right? He's get him out there with his people
Yeah.
and his rocks.
And the rocks, yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to
It's an
send some
exciting time. We're
photos.
very excited, and we'll be back on track with more news and more frequently now that we've got everything going and everything spotted and ready to start.
That's great. Thank you so much, you guys, for the update and just, filling us and the community in on what's been happening this last little while. I know that will be greatly appreciated.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thanks.